see you just
Yes.
fine. All right. So, Pedro, I'm really glad that you called about this. That in fact, what you're talking about is what almost everybody talks about. Okay. And that is that we want things to come to a conclusion. This is the whole idea of a clock. That the biggest thing that's ever happened to humanity, in fact, probably the worst thing that's ever happened to humanity, was not the invention of the atomic bomb, it was the invention of the clock.
Mm.
Because why? Because we get the idea that things go in a certain order. And that once you've been able to, an example is once you've been able to stop the thoughts from being unwholesome and start being wholesome, we think that now the clock is ticked and we're off into the future. But the fact is that everything is in cycles.
Yes. And just
Everything
like
is in cycles. And let me
yeah,
finish with that for a bit. Okay. Everything is in cycles. And that the trick is that can, if you're on top of the cycle and you go a little bit off, in other words, just one or two unwholesome thoughts, then it's possible to get back into on the top of the cycle. But if you have a whole bunch of unwholesome thoughts, and that happens when we're at night dreaming, and then we wake up to recognize that, well, we're not in a state of dreaming anymore, but the thoughts are just continuous. But now I'm awake enough to know that I'm thinking, and I'm awake enough now to see that these are unwholesome thoughts, right?
right.
This point is an important point because the beginners, and sometimes the beginners stay beginners for 30, 40, and 50 years of practice, and they keep doing this one thing, and that is that they don't like it when they wake up and see what kind of thoughts that they were having and judge them to be unwholesome. And we don't like that. We're saying, oh no, I'm supposed to have wholesome thoughts, right?
Right.
But what we miss out on is that thought, I should have wholesome thoughts and I don't have wholesome thoughts, that thought is the unwholesome thought.
Okay, I got you.
I should. A wholesome thought would be, aha, I say that. Wow, I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm actually awake enough to recognize that this is an unwholesome thought. Let me have a wholesome thought and I'll go back to sleep on a wholesome thought and have wholesome dreams rather than unwholesome dreams.
Okay.
Okay? That's an important thing that it happens also in practice. It happens when we're sitting in meditation practice doing anapanasati. It happens in the world. It happens when we're driving a car. It happens when we wake up in the middle of the night. That, in fact, the better at this anapanasati and the Dhamma that you get, then the more often this cycle can be seen. And that cycle is waking up, checking it out, seeing that it's unwholesome, and then having another unwholesome thought.
Yes.
The right thing to do is to wake up, see that this thought is unwholesome, and then make a change. And the change is to change it to an unwholesome thought rather than leaving it unwholesome, which was, oh no, this is unwholesome. Instead of having the next thought, which would be a wholesome thought, would be, hot dog, I caught it. I can see that stuff. Wow, I'm getting pretty sharp. I can see that stuff. Okay. This is a change in attitude. The attitude that you'd had originally was, oh no, another hindrance. That's a loser's attitude.
Okay.
More dukkha. When this time when we wake up, aha, I see you, Mara. Aha, I see you, unwholesome thought. That's a winner's attitude. That's what we're starting to develop is that winner's attitude. And when do we do that? Every time that we can remember. So remembering to wake up and to take a look, and now we have to remember to change it to a wholesome thought. Okay, so what kind of wholesome thoughts could they be? Well, one is, aha, I'm really glad that I see this. Another kind of wholesome thought is, oh, well, we'll be finished with this soon. I don't have this kind of unwholesome thought often, but now that I'm having it, I can see it easily. Okay? Another kind of wholesome thought would be, wow, I used to have this thought often, and now not so much. Isn't it nice that this thought doesn't have the power over me that it once did? So these are all wholesome winner's thoughts. And this is the kind of thought that we want to start having rather than doing the practice, waking up, seeing what's going on, recognizing that this is unwholesome, and then continue in the unwholesome. Ignorantly continuing in the, we need to wake up, really wake up to say, aha, I can see what's going on. Aha, I can see that this is unwholesome. Aha, I can change it.
Okay.
Now, we all get the idea that if we can do that one time, that we only have to do it one time. That's like once we unlock the door, that in fact, the example that I would use here is using the computer. I used to be better at it than I am now. I used to have skills and then I didn't use them and now I don't have them anymore.
Mm.
Right? But we have somehow the magical belief that once I have a skill, I have that skill. And that's not true. Every skill can be lost. I used to play the piano. I was pretty good at it. I can't play the piano now at all. I couldn't remember how to play chopsticks hardly. Right? Why? Because I haven't been practicing. A world-class musician, if he doesn't practice, it will be as good. Then, in fact, there's a story about this. His name was Arthur Rubinstein. He was very, very famous. He was really, really old in the 70s. He was in his 90s in the 1970s, and then he died. So this is before your time. However, he was in an interview, and they asked him, do you still practice? I mean, you're in the 90s. You have done concerts all over the world. You're a world famous, first world class musician on the piano. Knows all the concertos, knows all of the etudes, all of that kind of stuff. And he says, if I miss just one day of practice, I'll know it. If I miss 2 days of practice, the housekeeper will know it. If I miss 3 days of practice, the dog will know it.
Mm.
Okay, he's got a pretty special dog. But the point is that this is how we learn is that we get used to happily practicing the skills as opposed to saying, okay, I've got the skill, I don't have to practice it anymore, and then when I need the skill, it's not there. Oh, boo-hoo, oh, poor me. No, this is a change model. Anicca vata sankhara. The Buddha says everything is in a state of cycles, in a state of flux, in a state of change.
Yeah.
And so the natural thing for the mind to do is to go back into the old habits. We
Oh yeah.
have for our mind has been trained through our talking to ourselves. We have talked ourselves into feeling bad, and now it's time to talk ourselves into feeling good. But we've only been talking to ourselves in a good way for a very short period of time, a matter of weeks or months. And we spent years talking ourselves into feeling bad. So that new skill that we're developing, we need to keep practicing it. Just like Arthur Rubinstein, even though he's world-class musician, he still practices the piano every day. But guess what? I bet he loves it. No problem. And so this is how we get used to it. This is another way of looking at the progression of one upon the path. The point of Sotapan is when we are delighted with the Dhamma. So that every time that we recognize that all this is an unwholesome thought, we can say, hot dog, I can change that.
So you can talk about a bit more about this kind of change, like uh, so yeah, like one. I usually personally like try to like find balance between doing and not doing, so that really I don't put effort into bad thing, but still sometimes, as I told you before, as I told you, like I noticed that the undoing is not enough because the mind still goes. So where does it comes the when does it enters in the equation the change, so that I like take the sort of you know the sort of hit that pushes me out of the momentum of the mind. Where does it come the change in the mind cycle usually?
Well, I don't think that there's a particular answer to that.
Yeah. Okay.
Rather, this is something for you to discover for yourself.
Okay. Okay.
And if you continue to practice in the sense of changing unwholesome thoughts to wholesome thoughts, you'll begin to figure it out.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. That
Okay.
one of the biggest mistakes that happens in Western Buddhism is that issue of the clock. We think that once we've got it, we've got it.
Mm.
Another that in fact I just talked to Scott about it using the word fruition. Okay, the fruition is that the practice is over, the music is accomplished, but the word fruition has to do in this sense originally with fruit, like a banana or an apple. And once a banana reaches fruition,
Mm.
it's ready to eat. But if you don't eat it, it's going to rot. It's on a cycle. It's not going to be ready to eat and stay ready to eat forever. That
Okay.
everything falls apart, everything perishes, which means that even if you have great meditation skills, they're going to fall apart if you don't keep practicing them.
Okay.
They're going to fall apart. That's the whole point is that there is no such thing as a rival
Mm.
other than the mental attitude of this is good enough. This is the arrival. Can you arrive to the point that you say this is good enough? This is okay. And then the next thought will be an unwholesome thought, and we can say, "Aha! I see that unwholesome thought. Come
Mm.
back and let's have a wholesome thought. Everything is okay. There's no place to go. I have arrived. This is the benefit." And keep coming back to that state, rather than thinking that once you arrive there, it takes no effort at all. It always takes a tiny little bit of effort to
Yeah.
stay in that state, to sustain that, because there's too much happening in the world. That in fact, whenever you're talking with other people, what you're getting from them almost 100% of the time is unwholesome thoughts.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons why, for the beginners, it's good to get away from the world so that we only have to deal with our own unwholesome thoughts rather than ours and everybody else's.
Yeah.
Once we learn to deal correctly with our own unwholesome thoughts, including not having unwholesome thoughts about unwholesome thoughts, but rather recognize it as unwholesome and change it now to a wholesome thought. That's what we need in order to be able to deal with other people, so that no matter how unwholesome thoughts they throw, we can respond with something wholesome.
Okay.
But we need to keep practicing,
Yeah.
keep practicing. But you'll get good at practicing. You'll enjoy the practice. But if you quit practicing, then things fall apart again. Another example, a swing that's at the park where the child comes and sits on this thing and it's got chains up and it says, "Push me, Daddy, push me." He wants to swing, right? the first time that we push the child is effort. And then they come back and put more effort in it. And pretty soon they get onto a roll so that it takes very little effort to keep the child swinging.
Yeah.
Okay? If we stop pushing, the child will swing for a little while, but then it'll come back down to zero and stop. And now it's going to take a lot of effort to get it moving again. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
That's exactly the way that we look at the wholesome thoughts. The wholesome thoughts take some effort to get them swinging, and we have to keep putting a little effort in to keep them wholesome. Otherwise, they're going to naturally, without that pushing, that extra little bit of effort, that right noble effort, if we stop putting any effort in, then things are going to go back to the way that they were.
Yeah. Yeah. I've really verified this for myself, actually. For this reason, I called you this morning because, like, I was like, okay, but I really did all the possible. So must be that I now understand that there is always that wholesome thought that you never thought of that you can use now to keep swinging the thing. No,
Yeah, keep
so,
pushing, keep pushing. Keep pushing those unwholesome thoughts out. That's the way to keep practicing. But it doesn't take much effort once we got the skills developed. But we have to keep practicing that skill.
yeah, and in fact, I also understand that the environment you live in usually easily runs out of awesome thoughts because there is kind of good wisdom in the world, but it's still limited to ordinary level. And so again, one comes back, goes into the Sangha, into the teachers, into the jhans, because they really have a real set of wholesome thoughts that can, here you are, you can use this. So like you can remember to congratulate yourself in a noble
Mm-hmm.
way, you know, because ordinary world really easily runs out of awesome content for getting back off the cycles because actually ordinary world is cycle. So
Mm-hmm.
really, I understand that sovereign mundane the sovereign mundane actually is the way I can now sustain awesome thoughts because in the ordinary wisdom I feel limited. I feel like my mind says one more cycle, one more cycle, one more cycle,
Mm-hmm.
and so I found the fruits in the Dharma. So this is cool.
Yes, that's the way of thinking about it. Never mind, start again. One more. We can do one more. One more. That's all we need. Just one more breath, one more happy thought,
Yeah.
rather than thinking, oh, I got to have happy thoughts all the time. No, no, just one more. Just one more. Just one more happy thought. And one more after that. That's the way to look at it. Just one more. Easy enough. Oh, I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. I'll be okay. That's the way to think. All those worries can just melt away. Then, in fact, most of the things we think of to do, we don't do them anyway. Um, Designers and inventors invent in their mind 100 things for everything that's actually invented and put on the market. That's an interesting point. An example would be the electric light bulb, the first one, the one that Edison did way back when in the 1880s or something like that. In fact, many people wanted it. So the idea was we've got electricity and it will cause light to burn, but only for short periods of time, like 1 or 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. And so the race was on to find a light bulb that would stay lit hour after hour after hour, month after month. That in fact, the world's record, there is an incandescent light bulb that is in some house, uh, some fire station in Chicago or New York, someplace like that. And
Okay.
that light bulb has been burning since 1911.
Wow.
It still is burning. Same light bulb, never been replaced. Okay, part of the reason for that is because the light bulb that they put in there required a higher voltage, and so it's dimly lit, doesn't put off much heat.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, here's the point. Edison spent years trying to develop a light bulb, and he called it 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration.
Mm,
Okay, 1% inspiration and 99% you got to try it and do this and do that. And he was always going from one failure to the next failure.
okay.
Okay, but we've got a different game going here in the sense of 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration means 1%. Oh, I can follow the teaching of the Buddha. Oh, I can have wholesome thoughts one after another. Let me practice that. And now the 99% perspiration means we actually have to do it. We actually have to keep coming back with another wholesome thought and another wholesome thought. We got to put the effort in. This is an important point that many people miss. They think that they're trying to get into a particular state rather than putting in the kind of effort that's needed. But if you keep putting in the effort and keep putting in the effort, you're going to get the benefit of that. The
For
effort
sure.
is to have one wholesome thought after another. And so when you wake up in the middle of the night and you recognize that you've got an unwholesome thought, what are you going to do? You're going to have another unwholesome thought. Oh, I shouldn't be having unwholesome thoughts. Oh, no. You're
Oh,
going to start, oh, I see that's an unwholesome thought. I'm really glad I saw it. And by that, we've already changed it to a wholesome thought. I'm really glad that I saw. And now I can go back to sleep with happy thoughts, have sweet dreams rather than nightmares. Then, in fact, we can do that even before we go to sleep at night. This is one of the things that I recommend to students who are practicing well, is that when we go to sleep at night, do so intentionally with, wow, this is good. Wow, there's no place to go. Wow, everything is okay. The next 8 hours, I don't care whether I sleep or not, I've got the next 8 hours off. I've got the next 8 hours to just lay here and enjoy and go no place. Wow, isn't this great? This is really good. And guess what? You can go to sleep right away with that and have
mm,
sweet dreams. So program yourself before you go to sleep so that when you wake up in the middle of the night, you'll wake up and say, hot dog, that was a happy dream. And you can congratulate yourself for having programmed yourself earlier in the evening to sleep well.
okay.
Yeah. And then when you wake up in the morning, again, because when people wake up in the morning, they have different kind of thoughts than they do when they go to sleep. And the kind of thoughts that most of us have when we get up, oh no, I've got to get up and go to work. Oh no, this is hard. Oh no, I'm so tired. I just woke up and I'm still tired. You know, all those kind of thoughts that people have. And a better thing to do is to take a few minutes and say, I don't have to get up right now. Let me lay here for 5 minutes and have happy, wholesome thoughts. Then we say, it really feels good to wake up. Today is going to be a good day. In fact, the day is good. The only good thing about it is my attitude that's good about the day. A day is a day. But we can start with the idea, well, today is going to be a good day because my attitude is good and I'm going to be able to handle things quite well. Today I'm a winner. Today everything is going to go my way. And then we can get up out of bed full of vim and vigor and vitality and ready to go because we're starting the day with a pleasant, happy attitude. And so this is true times today that it would be good for a practice of Anapanasati intentionally when you get up in the morning, when you wake up in the morning before you get up out of bed, practice for 5 minutes. And when you go to sleep at night, when you lay down in the bed to go to sleep, or if you're already in bed and it's time to go to sleep and you make that, okay, I turn the cell phone off or whatever, and we lay down, get ourselves into that sleeping posture, that's when we start to meditate. And what is the meditation here? Oh, everything's going to be all right. This is going to be a good night. I'm going to get all the sleep I need, and I can just lay here and enjoy. No place to go, nothing to do for the 8 hours. I'm free. Wow, this feels so good. And so that's 10 minutes a day of that. And that'll take care of your day when you wake up in the morning and meditate. And when you go to sleep at night, that'll take care of the night when you meditate. And what is the meditation? Changing the unwholesome states of mind into having wholesome thoughts. To allow yourself to feel good. Oh, I feel good. I feel comfortable. I feel relaxed. I feel safe and secure. I feel satisfied. Then we just go right off to sleep easy.
Okay.
So it's always the same practice. Whether we're dealing with people with their unwholesome thoughts, whether we're dealing with ourselves with our own unwholesome thoughts, when it's going to sleep, getting up, whatever it is, we remember to make the effort to change the thoughts to wholesome thoughts. It's actually an easy practice. We just have to do it over and over and over and over again. And not expect any results other than what's happening right now is good. What's happening right now is good. That's the way to practice, not practicing, oh, now I've got it. I don't have to practice anymore. It's not the right attitude.
Okay.
The right attitude is I can do it, I can practice it, I can do this. I can continue to do it. I'm on top of this. I can take another breath. I can enjoy it. One more breath, one more wholesome thought. That's all we need to do. So it becomes an easy practice and we get great fruit, great benefit out of having these wholesome thoughts and feeling good and satisfied and relaxed. But then if we say, oh, now I feel so satisfied and relaxed, I don't have to practice anymore, it'll stay for a while like that swing, but then it'll stop. The hindrances will come back.
Okay.
But that's all right. Never mind. Start again. So really, there's nothing to it except these few skills. The skill of looking and identifying is this wholesome. The skill of taking the effort to change it. The skill to wake up and remember to look. And then the skill of gladdening the mind, brightening the mind. And the skill of feeling safe, secure, comfortable, and satisfied. That's the sukha. And it's a skill to be developed. In fact, in the sutras it says, thus one trains oneself. Train oneself to feel safe. Train oneself to feel secure. The best place to do that is when you're safe and secure, physically safe and secure, so that we can practice feeling safe and secure by having safe and secure, wholesome thoughts. So we can train ourselves to feel good. A lot of people don't know that. They think that, in fact, that I am my feelings. Whatever the feelings are, that's who I am right then. And we have it in our language, like I am frustrated, I am angry, I am sad, I am miserable. Where in fact, no. We can say correctly, there is fear. Let's take a look at it. But I am afraid is not the right way to look, because you're not the fear. The fear is just a feeling, and you're the observer for a while until you recognize that you're not even the observer, but we can observe. Or a better way of saying it is that there is observation without an observer, just like walking without a walker, or seeing without a seer. Okay, that's the no self quality of it. Is that there is just observation. So let's do that observation. Let's observe, but it's not me that's observing, it's just observing. And what is observing? The feelings. These feelings are not me, they're just feelings. I am not my feelings. I'm not sure who I am or what I am, but I know I'm not feelings.
Yeah.
Or in Scott's case, the guy is yelling at the referee, and Scott figured out that he's not the referee. He's just wearing the referee's clothing. That it's the referee that's clothing that the guy is yelling at. And Scott just happens to be wearing the referee's clothing, but he's not the referee. So we can take the self out of it and just let things be the way that they are, because then they're easy enough to change. This hindrance is not me. It's just a little hindrance. It's just a hindering thought. Out it goes. Aha, I see you. Out you go.
Wow. That's wonderful, really, talking about this thing, because really, it is also in my experience as well, this kind of recognizing that what I am is just a bundle of thoughts and feelings and sensations. And the more I observe, the more also a thought of I feel dot 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 like comes. I say just well, it's just a thought. It's not me actually. So I can not believe in this thought and act according to the thought to be true. And so it's just also a way of talking, a language, because if you just you just see I'm not feeling well, it's just a way to make a series of things happen, because if you say in your mind I'm not feeling well, you will also talk about with your family and friends and take action on that. But actually, the most of thing that comes with I'm not feeling well is just a reaction, that an instinct that comes immediately as the sensation is going on. So if I catch the sensation to be just a sensation, now that I can observe, and I will not
Mm-hmm.
speak that thought. It is just what is happening in this moment. So like the basic issue to the urgency of what is happening inside of me, it's like gone. So then
Yeah.
I have more time to observe and really see what it is, and so in case take the best decision possible, or otherwise let it fall away.
That word urgent is an important point, that we have been taught since our childhood in this society that things are urgent. Emergency. Okay, urgent, emergency is kind of the same word. And the reality is that no, what's emergent, what's emerging are feelings. And we don't like those feelings. And so we say, oh, if I go do this great big thing over here, which I see as an emergency, then I'll feel better. But here, what we're practicing is that whatever the emergency is not the emergency, really. The emergency is my feelings of emergency. And if I can deal with my feelings of emergency, then I can probably be cool headed enough to deal with that thing that I used to call emergency, where in fact it's not urgent at all.
Yeah.
What was urgent was my feelings.
Yeah.
And so now that we can see the urgency of our feelings, we can say, oh, okay, well, it's only my feelings that are urgent. Let me have a different attitude that everything's going to be okay and everything is fine. And then my feelings can come back at rest. And so there's a wholesome thought. So emergency or urgency are both unwholesome thoughts. Got to get in a hurry. Got to go do it right away. And it's a feeling, not actually an action. That somebody can feel good and go take care of whatever emergency, probably better than someone who feels inside their own self emergency. When we're in a state of emergency, we can't behave very well. We're full of fear, we're full of anxiety, we're full of feelings, and we can't see straight. There, in fact, there's an old song that has the line of when your heart's on fire, burning with desire, smoke gets in your eyes. So, whenever there's anything that's an emergency, that's the heart being on fire. We may not be burning with desire, but normally the desire is to stop or put out the fire. To where the fire is actually the heart that's burning, not the thing that we thought was an emergency. Some people will think, no, it's not an emergency at all. How you feel about it, that's the emergency.
Yeah.
And so when we can correctly and properly, with right effort, take care of our feelings, then there's no emergency. We can go do what needs to be done happily.
Yeah.
That when we're in a hurry, we often get really sloppy. And so we make the emergency. We screw it up instead of actually fixing it. So if we can come out of the emergency of the feelings and feel safe, secure, and comfortable, then we can go take care of whatever business that it was that we thought was an emergency.
Yeah.
And we can do the job well because we're not in a state of emergency. And I can imagine that when you woke up in the middle of the night and had an unwholesome thought, that itself right then and there was an emergency.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is possible. Like I worked so much to go yesterday in the bed with no thoughts and no programs, and so on. And then in the middle of the night, without me knowing it, I was programming a whole existence, and I was like, what the fuck?
Well, next time you can say, wait a minute, there's no emergency here.
Yeah,
There's nothing urgent.
yeah, totally.
No problem. Everything is all right. Keep coming back to the wholesome and everything's going to be fine. You
Yeah.
have to keep practicing that over and over again. If you stop doing that 3 days, even your dog will know it.
Oh yes, for sure. Oh, especially my dog is pretty sensitive. It will know for sure. He will look me in the eyes with his face, and I will see. Oh, oh, my practice.
All right, Pedro. Well, let's finish here. I think that we've gotten this
Right.
this thing going for you, so that you can recognize that even even if you have an unwholesome thought, you still have to wake up that that is an unwholesome thought and change it to a wholesome thought. We can't let those things. Oh no, that's an unwholesome thought. Oh, I thought I was over that. Oh, poor me. Watch out for that
Yeah.
kind of emergency kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Recognize, hey, I saw that. I saw that. Aha, I see that. Like a nourishing, nurturing father.
Okay.
Hmm. Nourish,
Nourish.
nourish. Remember to nourish yourself, and everything's okay. What a relief.
Beautiful, Dhammarato. Beautiful.
All right. Well, so let's finish now, and we'll let you be in that beautiful state.
Bye,
Yeah.
Dhammarato.
Okay. Bye bye.